So this was a video I debated about making for a long time, but with the Ocarina of Time remake coming out later this year, I wanted to do this, okay? I wanted to talk about the time they combined my two favorite games, World of Warcraft Classic and Legend of Zelda. Well, okay, some of the Legend of Zelda games are my favorites. Some of them I don't actually like at all, and I don't think they're good games. But we're not going to talk about those ones. We're only going to talk about the good ones. So sit back, relax, grab some beans, and let's go through the Zelda questline in classic World of Warcraft. Now, to even start this questline, you have to be pretty far into the game, alright? It starts in Ungoro Crater, so you gotta be like level 50. I think you might even have to be level 52 to even pick up the first quest. But Ungoro Crater, I love this zone, alright? It's full of dinosaurs, crystals, silithids, a volcano, and a lot of mystery, including the mystery that's in this questline. Now, not too far from the entrance of the zone, there's a bunch of these little rivers that connect, and in one of them is where our questline starts, as we find a crashed raft. And I have to assume that this is either a reference to Link's Awakening or the Oracle games, because, you know, Link crashes his raft. But that's not where the references stop here, okay? Because interacting with the wrecked raft gives you the starting quest. It's a secret to everybody. And, you know, first off, you gotta look around for clues, so we can find out who this raft might have belonged to. And you look around for a little bit, and in the lake, you will find this small pack. Opening this up, you're going to find some pretty interesting items. A compass, a map, and a key. I wonder if there's any video game character who would often have these items. Interesting. And also there is a couple throwing knives inside and a faded photograph. And if you take a look at the photograph, you can see a boy and what looks to be a princess in front of a castle. I wonder who those could be. Are we gonna act dumb, or are we gonna say that this is Link and Zelda? Eventually moving through Ungoro Crater, you'll find yourself at Marshall's refugee camp. And here there's, you know, a little expedition crew, a lot of quests, a cool crystal cave, Mario and Luigi for some reason, and inside this hollowed out tree, Deku Tree reference, we meet our new friend, Linken. He, looks like somebody. Actually, he looks like the guy in the photograph. I show him the items that I found in the pack, and he said, well, they look familiar. Kind of. Because Linken here, he tells me he has no idea how he ended up in Ungoro Crater. Nobody really knows. It's a secret to everyone. He did it. He said the name of the quest. He did it. But somehow seeing these items did make him remember that he was supposed to strengthen his sword, but he doesn't know why. So he asked me to take his sword to his friend Donovan Snowden. She's up in Winterspring, and she can temper it to make it stronger. You heard that right. Winterspring, all right? The most north zone in the continent, while we are in Ungoro, one of the most southern zones on the continent. And while this might be a big Zelda reference, okay, this is still a classic World of Warcraft questline. So yeah, be prepared to do a lot of traveling around. And even after you travel all the way up north, if you're level appropriate for doing this, odds are you haven't grinded the reputation yet to travel safely through Timbermaw Hold to even get into Winterspring. So yeah, you might have to spend a few hours killing furbolgs first, but eventually you'll be able to go through and you'll make it to Winterspring, and you'll find Donovan Snowden at this small camp by herself right by the hot springs. And when you talk to her, she tells you that she was wondering what took Linken so long to get his sword to her, but of course she was willing to help. She takes the sword down to the hot spring, tempers it, but tells us it's still not complete, and we need some more stuff to get it to its maximum power. She says we'll need to get something called the Vidare Elixir, and her friend Gregan Brewspewer, who's camping out in Feralis, could help us with this. So get ready for your next travel, because we're going all the way down to Feralis, and in a camp we find Gregan Brewspewer alone. These dwarves love to hang out in camps by themselves, but we ask him about the Vidare Elixir, and he tells us he can make it for us, but he needs a special plant called the Evo Root. I don't know. but the only Eva route he knows of is being guarded by an angry gnoll up north in some old ruins. He tells us that we can use some bait to maybe distract him and steal the Eva route when he's not looking. So yeah, we head up to the ruins a little bit up north from here, and I see the gnoll, Miblin Snarltooth, and he's guarding the Eva route, and yeah, he doesn't seem friendly. And yes, it is intended probably for you to use this bait and distract him, but you don't actually need it, because if you go around the back side of the ruins, there's just this hole in the wall that you can jump through, grab the Eva root, jump out of the ruins, and head right back to the camp. So we do that, we give it to Gregan, and he makes the Vidaire elixir for us. From here, we travel north all the way back to Winterspring, where Donovan Snowden tells us how to continue, telling us that the Vidaire elixir will allow me to speak to someone who normally you would not be able to see. So I would need to drink this Vidaire elixir in the graveyard in Gadgetzan. Yep, Gadgetzan, that's in Tanaris, all the way down south. So hop back on that flight path. Don't you just love classic WoW traveling? Eventually, you do get down there in the desert, and you drink the elixir, and you die. Now, don't worry, if you're doing this on hardcore WoW servers, they changed the quest so it doesn't actually kill you. You can do it safely on hardcore without dying. But if you're not on hardcore, once you're in your ghost form, you run over to your new friend who you can see. I don't know how to say his name, Gay Ryan or something. He tells you about how nobody's come to see him in a long time. But back at the graveyard, there's a certain grave that I should check out because there's secrets that lay inside of it. So you stick the sword inside the grave, there's some flashing lights, and then after you pick up the sword again, it's been transformed. So, now I head back to Ungoro Crater to deliver Linken's sword to him finally. And yeah, this is it, right? Yeah, wrong. We're like not even halfway over, I don't think. He's excited to get his sword back and finished, but he still can't remember why he needed it in the first place. So he asked us to go into the Crystal Cave and talk to JD Collie, because when he first got there, he was talking to her and maybe she knows something about what's going on. Once we meet her inside, she's in the middle of working on some experiment that ends in an explosion, but she tells us about how Linken got to the camp, mumbling about all kinds of crazy stuff. Everybody thought he was schizo, and that he probably just hit his head really hard, but she could remember him talking about making some kind of totem, and he needed to make contact with somebody named Aridin Bluewind up in Fellwood. So, yep, that's right. Once again, we gotta travel all the way up north to Fellwood. Eventually we get there, and we get to the Emerald Sanctuary where we find Aridin Bluewind. We tell her what's going on, and she has no idea who Linken is. But she says no worries. If he was on a journey to find her, then she knows exactly what he was after. And here's where we finally get some information of what's actually going on, okay? She tells us about an evil that dwells in the heart of Ungoro, an elemental named Blazerunner. And Blazerunner's protected by this aura that nobody can dispel without a certain great power. And, well, she offers to teach us this great power, but first, we would need to collect some stuff for her, okay? We would need to get 11 claws from the wildlife in Fellwood and an iron tree heart. So we leave the camp and we run around Fellwood, killing zombie bears and wolves to get these claws, and then up north, we kill iron tree stompers until we get the heart. Returning back to Aridin, she tells me that I need to take those supplies and this book all the way back down to Tanaris once again to the Pirate Cove, where I can summon a water elemental who will transform these items into the totem that I would need to take on Blazerunner. So one more long flight back down to Tanaris, and then a long run through the desert over to the Pirate Cove. I summon Aquamentus, and he's not happy to be woken up, but we take him down, and we get the silver totem that we needed. From here, we go back to Marshall's refugee camp in Ungoro, talk to JD Collie in the cave once again, and she says she's heard of this strong elemental in the center of Ungoro Crater, but she says everyone just keeps their distance because nobody has been able to penetrate his powerful aura. I take the totem back to Linken, and he finally remembers. He came here to fight Blazerunner and to be the hero. But he claims he's no longer the hero. He's just an idiot who forgot everything. But that we were the hero. We did everything leading up to this, and that we should be the hero to take down Blazerunner and save everyone. So Linken gives us the final quest of this story. It's dangerous to go alone, which, you know, it's obviously a reference to the first Zelda game, but it's also a suggestion to go and do this quest with other players, because this is an elite quest, and Blazerunner, you know, he hits hard, okay? He's a tough enemy to fight. To end this quest, you head up to the volcano where Blazerunner waits in his little cave, and you can see that aura on him. So right away, you use your silver totem of Aquamentus to take down that aura, so that way you can actually fight him head on. And even after you use this thing, if you take too long in the fight, his aura does come back. And when his aura is back, every time he hits you, you get like crazy knockback and you'll like fall in the lava like I did. But I still defeated Blazerunner. And from there, you can head into the cave that he was in and take from the chest that he was guarding the golden flame. All right, look at this. All right, take one guess. All right, what do you think this is a reference to? I'm not gonna say what it's a reference to, but what do you think it's a reference to? It's the Triforce. Heading back to Linken, though, he thanks you, and he can now take the golden flame back to his homeland to be protected and never used for evil again. And then Linken offers you a reward for all your help. For the first reward, you get to choose between two weapons, okay? Either Linken's Sword of Mastery, which, come on, it's a reference to the Master Sword, or you can get the Spirit of Aquamentus offhand, which this is actually a pre-raid BIS item for some casters, so a lot of people want this. But no matter which one you choose, you do also get Linken's Boomerang, which is a trinket with an on-use effect of, well, throwing a boomerang, and it does some damage. It's pretty cool. I like this item. I like the sword too. I like keeping it as a souvenir on my characters. But yeah, that's about it for Linken's story. You know, there's still a little bit of mystery, like where's Zelda from this picture? She doesn't show up at all. Is she somewhere in the game? Probably not, but I'd like to think maybe she is. But maybe, you know, Linken's not even from Azeroth, because how did that boat even get in Ungoro Crater? It's not like he sailed from the ocean and somehow ended up in the rivers of Ungoro Crater. Yeah, who knows? It's a mystery. It's up to imagination, I guess. But what happens with Linken after this? Well, of course, you know, he's an NPC. He doesn't really go anywhere. He stays here for the questline for players to do for many years, okay? But eventually, he was gone, okay? When World of Warcraft's Cataclysm expansion came out, the old world was gone, and Linken's questline was gone with it. And Linken himself is also no longer in Marshall's Refugee. And if you go on the Wowhead page for Linken and set it to retail, it says he is no longer in the game, but that's not entirely true, okay? You can still seek out Linken, but it's very rare that he shows himself, all right? And there's actually only 2 ways to see him still in retail World of Warcraft. When Cataclysm first came out, they added him into Mount Hyjal. Kind of, okay? There is a daily quest where you can go and kill these enemies, and during this quest, you get a random NPC to tag along with you, and on that list of NPCs, it's Linken. So, you know, you just have to get lucky, I guess. But when I tried it myself for this video, I didn't get him, and I also spent like 2 hours looking through old YouTube videos of people doing this quest, and none of the ones that I looked through got Linken either, so, you know, I don't know. People in Wowhead comments were saying they got him, so, you know, I believe it. I don't think that the websites are lying. I just guess you have to get lucky. But there is one other place that Linken shows himself, and I was able to find cold, hard video proof of it. All right, I didn't find it in-game myself, but it's on YouTube, okay? During the micro holiday, the Great Nomergon Run, Linken is an NPC that cheers on the runners. And there he is, right there. And yeah, that's the best I could get, I'm gonna be honest. I watched like 30 videos of people doing the run on the event, and everybody just runs right past him. Nobody stops, hangs out with him, talks to him, or even notices that it's Linken, okay? Maybe I'm the only one autistic enough to seek this out and want to find this, but you know what, Linken? When October comes around and this holiday happens again, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna hang out with you myself, and we can even talk about how scared we are about Nintendo messing up the Ocarina of Time remake. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like, comment. I know this wasn't my normal fishing videos and stuff, but hey, my channel isn't called Vezi Fish, it's called Vezi RPG, and sometimes I like to talk about some other stuff and play some other stuff. So I'll see you guys in my next video. I hope you guys enjoy.